What's going on, everyone? My name's Andy and welcome to another FPL video. We're in the international break. It's dragging on a little bit, I know, but it won't be too long until Game Week 5 starts. And today I wanted to talk about differentials, kind of low-owned players, and maybe players that are going under the radar that you could consider either bringing in this week or in the next couple of weeks. And obviously for those of you that are on wildcard, which quite a few people are in the international break, you can take a look at these players as well. I've gone for a couple of defenders, midfielders and an attacker to take you through. So I think there's 6 players in total. So let's just jump straight into it and go on with the first one. So we'll start off with one of the defenders, Laporte at Man City. He's played all the minutes so far, 364 out of 4 games, which is pretty good considering the other centre-back has rotated quite a bit. Even Walker's had a rest, and Mendy's the only other defender which has played all the minutes. And he's managed to get a goal there, which isn't surprising. He's had 6 goal attempts in 4, which is pretty nice. But it's the price I like for him, 5.5 million. That's a nice way into the City backline. Obviously, Maddison was 5.5 million to start the season as well. So Laporte comes in quite cheap. Now, I know a lot of people already own Aguero and Mendy, and then possibly a midfielder as well. But if you're like me and you don't own a third Man City player, I've definitely looked at getting Laporte in as a bit of a differential. Now, I don't think I'd get him instead of Mendy because I think Mendy's so attacking that when the clean sheets come as well, there's going to be tons of points for him. But Laporte already shown that he can get a goal as well. And I think on that left side of the centre-back position with the left foot, I think that's something that Pep likes. He wants to keep the balance there and potentially rotate the right centre-back spot. And obviously, when Champions League and stuff hits, we don't know if that's going to be the case. Maybe Laporte will get a rest. That's the kind of chance you take when you bring in teams or players from the teams that are in the top 6. But I think, yeah, 5.5 million as a double up with Mendy. Now, City have only kept 1 clean sheet so far. Possibly been a little bit unlucky, just a couple of sloppy defensive errors that have caused those goals. They've not really been overrun, as you can imagine, because they keep a lot of possession and stuff like that. But with Fulham at home, Cardiff away, Brighton at home, and then Liverpool away, I think there's at least 2 clean sheets in there, looking at the Cardiff and Brighton game. Obviously, Cardiff did pretty well against Arsenal to get 2 goals recently. But I don't think Man City are going to make those same mistakes, and they're going to have the ball a lot more than Arsenal did. And Arsenal generally haven't been great defensively, whereas I think Man City have probably been a little bit unlucky not to keep more than 1 clean sheet. Fulham will be tough, but it is at home. But the way Fulham have been playing, they have been quite attacking, so they could expose City at some points with Mitrovic there and Schürrle as well. But I think potentially there's one there. But Cardiff and Brighton would be the ones that I would bank on. And then Liverpool, you never know what's going to happen in the top 6 match. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they're tight. Because it's Liverpool and Man City and they're both going to want to attack, I could probably see Laporte not getting a clean sheet there. But I think a potential for 2, an outside stretch 3 in the next 4, plus a little bit of goal threat as well. Nailed on, it looks like, right now for 5.5 million. There's a double up with Mendy. I think he could be a good option. And only owned by 3.2%. So definitely a differential and one to look at. Now, I know what you're thinking, why on earth is he picking a Bournemouth defender as an option to bring in? They're generally not great for clean sheets. In fact, if I've got an attacker playing Bournemouth, I'm usually pretty happy. But look at how they performed so far. They've picked up 1 clean sheet in the opening 4 fixtures and haven't kept one since then. But they're pretty good in terms of shots conceded. They're very similar in the box to the likes of Everton, Leicester, Wolves and Man United. They've only conceded 1 more shot in total than Spurs. So they're not doing the worst this year. Rico's 4.5 million, which I quite like. Now, Charlie Daniels is usually the one that plays in the kind of left back or left wing back position, but he was injured in Game Week 4 and Rico came in, new signing for Bournemouth. There's a very good chance that he could keep his place going forward, especially how well he played against Chelsea. And the most interesting thing really was, of course, no goals, no assists, no clean sheets yet, but 3 chances created and 1 goal attempt. Now, he was on corners and free kicks, so having set pieces at 4.5 million, we've seen how good Holebas did. And I'm not saying Rico will necessarily recreate that because Watford are in a really good run of form. But Bournemouth have pretty good fixtures. Leicester at home, Burnley away, Crystal Palace at home and Watford away. Now, they're going to be tough games, especially the likes of Leicester and Watford. Crystal Palace if they've got Zaha, not saying they're not going to be. I think there's potential for a 1 clean sheet there maybe. Burnley potentially. Even Leicester at home if Bournemouth play well enough. But Vardy will be back, so that's going to be tough. So we'll have to see whether Crystal Palace have got all their attackers with them. Zaha in particular is out injured right now. We don't know quite how long for. But as a 4.5 million, again, it could be someone that goes in the wild card. You don't necessarily have to play him every week if you've got the likes of Mendy, Alonso and Robertson there already. But he could come in, and if someone's on set pieces, then there's a good chance of them, or a better chance of them getting assists, potentially open play assists if he's playing left wing back again, if Bournemouth go for the 3 at the back. And obviously he had 1 goal attempt in 90 minutes, and I wouldn't expect him to up that too much. But again, there's potential for a goal there. And not saying that's going to happen every week or once every 3 weeks. It could be a lot less than that. But for 4.5 million, a very big differential, 0.0% owned. I'm sure he's owned by a few people, a handful of people, but on the FPL site it shows 0.0%. So an ultimate differential on set pieces, only 4.5 million defender, could be worth a very, very big punt. Next, we're moving back to Man City, and it's D.Silva this time, 8.5 million. So maybe not quite as easy as others on this list to get into your team. You're going to have to start thinking about whether to get rid of Mane, Salah, Hazard, or if you're on wildcard, which one of these premium midfielders to get. D.Silva at 8.5 million, not quite in the premium mark, but definitely getting there, and more than the mid-price kind of 6.5 to 7.5 million pound players. He's only 6.8% owned. So not maybe as low as some other players on this list, but still very low for the quality of player he is. Fulham at home, Cardiff away, Brighton at home, and then Liverpool away. I think 3 of those fixtures are really good. And then the Liverpool game could be quite open. We've seen that before between Man City and Liverpool. So it could be an open game, potential for points there. Now, he didn't start the season, D.Silva, but since De Bruyne is out, he's come into the side. Pep has said before the season started he might have to use D.Silva a little bit more sparingly, rotate him more. But he's retired from international football. He's looked really good, looked fit, raring to go. De Bruyne is out. I think they need D.Silva as that creative spark. A lot of the time they use both of these players, De Bruyne and Silva last year. And obviously Man City have got a whole wealth of midfielders to choose from. But I'm not sure any of them are quite what D.Silva is. You've got Mahrez out on the wing. Sterling obviously there for kind of tap-ins, creating space for Aguero and the likes of that with his runs in behind. But D.Silva is just that creative spark who also gets in the box. So in 242 minutes, he's already created 13 chances, which is top for midfielders. And he's got 8 goal attempts, 6 of which were in the box. So for me, 8.5 million, if I was on wildcard, I'd try and find a way to fit him in. I know it's difficult when you want to keep the likes of Salah. People are looking at bringing in Hazard. But obviously, he's much cheaper than both of those players. I think if you're going for someone in the short term with the fixtures he's got, he could be one of the best, if not even the best midfielder to bring in right now. And when he's only owned by 6.8%, that's a really good differential. So Maddison is a player that a lot of people have been looking at, especially since game week 1 when he had that really good performance against Man United. And was probably a little bit unlucky not to get a goal in the match. A very good save from David De Gea. And I think it's 6.5 million and only 3.1% owned. That's not going to last for much longer. And if you're on a wild card, and I've looked at wild card teams, I've not hit the button yet, but I have looked at them. I think for 6.5 million, he's kind of the one around that price bracket that I'd look at right this minute. You've got Walcott who's potentially injured. Pedro, who got not rested in the last game, but he didn't start the game, came on and scored, which is great, and he may start the next game. But going forward, you're never going to know whether he's going to start or not. And I just think, while Richarlison's out at 6.5 million, Maddison looks like the main man. A lot of stuff goes through him. He's kind of, again, like a bit like D.Silva, the creative spark. Obviously not as good as D.Silva, but in that Leicester team, he's going to do really well. He's on set pieces, not on penalties, which is unfortunate because Vardy will take them. But corners, free kicks, he's already created 5 chances and had 8 goal attempts, which is pretty impressive for someone at that price. And Leicester have played better, I think, than the results have given them. Didn't win against United or Liverpool, but could have taken points from either game. I think when they've got Bournemouth away, Huddersfield at home, Newcastle away and Everton at home, there's definite points there. I mean, Newcastle away, they do like to park the bus, but I don't know if they'll take that attitude with Leicester necessarily. Bournemouth away, like I've already said about Rico, yes, I think he looks good from a kind of cheap differential and set pieces defender kind of guy, but I wouldn't necessarily expect Bournemouth to keep too many clean sheets, and I think Leicester may have too much about them for them to shut them out completely. And if Leicester score, I think Maddison's going to be involved more often than not. And then Huddersfield at home is a really good fixture. So again, 3.1% owned. He started every game. He doesn't necessarily stay on until 90 minutes. But hopefully he can get his points before he goes off around the 70-80 minute mark. Already got 1 assist, 1 goal, and he's got the attempts and chances created already. And for that price, he looks like a bit of a bargain for me. So I've only got 1 striker on this list, and I've gone for Jiménez at Wolves, 5.5 million, 5% owned, and started every match so far. Newly loaned player to them this season, so new striker for Wolves, played every game, which is really good. And I think Wolves have generally been maybe not better than everyone expected, but probably on a par. They've done pretty well considering they've started with, I think, Everton, Leicester and Man City as well as West Ham. So not the easiest run to start off in the Premier League. And I suppose the closest player to Jiménez at that kind of ownership and price is Ings, slightly more expensive, slightly more owned, but I think only like 5.6%. And to be fair, Ings has got better stats and not played as many minutes, But again, Jiménez has had that Man City game, which is obviously going to be tough for them. And he still himself had 11 goal attempts and 2 chances created. And I think Wolves are only going to improve. And he's hit the woodwork in that game, in one of those games as well. So I think potentially unlucky to only have 1 goal so far. I think he's looked better than that. Not necessarily should have 3 or 4 or 5 goals at this point, but maybe could have at least doubled that total. And at 5.5 million, you're not expecting them to score every single week. And with Burnley at home and Southampton at home in the next 4 fixtures, that's pretty good. Man United away, well, that's probably a tough fixture to be fair, but the way Man United are playing, you never know. And Wolves could give them a game like they did against Man City. And in Crystal Palace away will really depend on what kind of personnel they got on the pitch. If the likes of Saka and Tompkins are still there and ready and fit, then I'd see that as a tough game to get goals in. But you never know. You never know what can happen in these matches. So Jiménez for me, 5.5 million at 5%. I'd definitely be looking at him. I think, again, just to keep talking about the wild card, I'd probably be looking at him or Ings. And I'd be tempted to take a punt on Jiménez. But we've seen Ings has done really well so far. And he's pretty much similar ownership. So it just depends whether you think Wolves are going to improve. Penalty taker wise, they rotated penalty takers quite a lot last season. Jiménez has got a pretty good record from what I've read. So he could potentially be taking penalties, we're not sure. But it could just drop to Neves. So I wouldn't necessarily take that as a given for sure. But given the fixtures, how well he's performed so far, again, if you didn't want to go for Danny Ings, you wanted to differentiate a bit, Jiménez could be your man. So lastly on the list is probably someone I know you're not going to bring in this week because of the fixture. We don't know if he's definitely going to play. But he is definitely worth considering going forward. Wait and see what Pochettino kind of says about him and Lucas Moura. Obviously Moura's been playing really well and been kind of playing as the furthest man forward, to be fair, in that formation. So maybe they'll switch it around a little bit. Maybe they'll just put Son in that place instead. Try and bring Harry Kane more into the game. So I'm not necessarily saying you need to jump on getting him in. And he's not really played much so far, only 10 minutes played, so obviously he's not done anything in those 10 minutes. But he has been playing for South Korea in the Asia Cup, so he has got matches under his belt. So it's not necessarily going to take him too long to get out to match fitness. And I think with the fixtures they've got coming up, Brighton, Huddersfield and Cardiff, it's definitely worth looking at him. But you're going to have to keep an eye on what Pochettino says. See if he mentions anything about Lucas Moura not being in the team, whether Son comes back in. Obviously, Son has been very integral to that Spurs starting 11 for the last couple of seasons. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if he gets his place back. It's just unfortunate for him that Lucas has done so well while he's been out. But it's not very often you're going to get Son in your team at a 1.4% ownership. That's a huge differential if he plays, especially with Spurs' upcoming fixtures. And 8.3 million, he's affordable. Like I've said already, with the likes of Salah and Hazard, maybe even D.Silva, it gets tougher and tougher to fit in the likes of Ali and Eriksen that are more expensive. Kane's 12.5 million, so very hard to get him. But I think all three of those players plus Son are good options, and it's not necessarily about looking for coverage. I just think they're all good options in that Spurs team. When they've got good fixtures, I'd be looking at all of them. So 8.3%, like I say, 8.3 million, sorry, like I say, it's a bit tough to put him in your side this week. I get that because of the fixture and because we're not sure he's going to come in, but definitely one to look at over the next few weeks. And if he does play against Liverpool and does really well, and Moura maybe doesn't or doesn't start, then I'd definitely look at bringing him in my side for game week 6 onwards. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully it gave you something to think about. I know the likes of Son, you're not necessarily going to look straight away at bringing in your side, but you could be very soon at 1.4%. Like I say, you're not going to see that very often. But the likes of Silva, Maddison, maybe even Laporte double up. Definitely players I'd be looking at. Jiménez if you wanted a differential. I think there's some good options there. Like I said, hopefully it gives you some food for thought. Let me know what you think of the players that I've mentioned and also any below that I've missed. There's players like Ramsey that have got just over 1% ownership who also could be really good differentials, started the last 2 games. So let me know who you've got your eye on for game week 5 and onwards. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up is always appreciated. Hit subscribe if you're new around here and the bell so you're notified when I next go live. I'll have one more video coming up and then the preview and a live stream before game week 5. So plenty of content coming up on the channel. Follow me on social media. All the links are in the description below. But until next time, like, comment, share, subscribe. All that good stuff. I'll catch you next time. Cheers, everyone.